Hi, I'm Mark Massey with the UAH Office of Sponsored Programs. I'm a contract administrator. This brief presentation will provide some clarity as to the differences between gifts, grants, and contracts. However, if there are any additional questions, you should always contact the appropriate department for more information. Why does it matter? Research compliance, understanding UAH's system, managing sponsor expectations, and ultimately this will help to keep the university out of trouble. For contracts and grants, which is my primary responsibility, it is very important to understand your rights and responsibilities when you receive that kind of funding. And ultimately, it's our job to help everyone understand the rules to protect the university. Lesson 1, gifts. The definition of a gift can be found on our site. It's an irrevocable charitable contribution to the foundation for the benefit of the University of Alabama in Huntsville, which is intended as a donation bestowed voluntarily and without expectation of tangible compensation. Gifts usually take the form of cash, checks, securities, real property, or personal property, and may be current or deferred. What characterizes a gift? They're referred to by the IRS as disinterested generosity, eligible for tax deductions for donors. There's no deliverable, but there may be other obligations, and there's no intellectual property rights. They're typically irrevocable, but reporting may be required, but not as detailed as with contracts and grants. And they may also be given in response to a solicitation to support specifically defined research projects. Examples of gifts are annual giving, endowed chairs, or scholarships and endowments. And more information about gifts can be found at the Office of Development site. Lesson 2 is grants. The definition. Grants are those received in accordance with the terms of approved grant proposals for the specific programs and projects. Commitments of a university's resources or services are made as a condition of the grant, and an accounting of the use of the funds is required by the grantor. What characterizes a grant? There's a specified performance period. You generally have to return an unobligated balance. Specific scope of work is required. There are required financial reports. There's detailed technical and progress reports also, and there's the right to audit. In many cases, there's expanded authority, and of course, these must be processed by the Office of Sponsored Programs. The government provides 3 different circulars that the Office of Management and Budget produces. They are A21, A122, and A110. They provide guidance on specific cost policies and can be located at the White House link provided. At the end of 2014, the 3 circulars will be combined into what is known as uniform guidance. Lesson 3, contracts. Contracts are restricted payments received by the university from various sponsors. They're made in accordance with terms of contracts entered into by the university to conduct specific programs. Payments made pursuant to contracts are not gifts. What characterizes a contract? There's a specified performance period, similar to grants. You will be required to return unobligated balance in many cases. There's a very specific scope of work and required financial and technical progress reports as well. And unlike grants, there's usually a specific product or deliverable attached to a contract. Of course, they have the right to audit, and there are other contractual obligations, including patent rights or the title to equipment. Again, these must be processed by the Office of Sponsored Programs. The governing regulations for these are the Federal Acquisition Regulation and Defense Acquisition Regulation. How are grants and contracts alike? They both have detailed budgets, financial programmatic reporting. They define a period of performance. There are restrictions as to the cost, the release of data, and to patents. They require university involvement in the testing or evaluation of proprietary products or data, and they also have a specific scope of work. How are they different? There's a different degree of freedom between contracts and grants in terms of rebudgeting, no-cost extensions, title to equipment, patent rights, and other restrictions. Cooperative agreements, which are a mix of contract and grants requirements. As a general rule, anything that changes the terms of a contract must be in writing and must be added or subtracted from the contract in writing and must be agreed upon by authorizing officials on each side. In summary, there are generally less requirements on how money is tracked with gifts than with contracts or grants. Grants and contracts are similar in many respects. However, grants are typically more for research with no specific goal or deliverable, and contracts typically have more deliverables or reporting requirements. UAH's Office of Sponsored Programs handles contracts and grants, and the Office of Development handles any gifts. If you want any more information on gifts, then contact the Vice President for University Advancement at the Office of Development, and for contracts and grants, contact the Director of the Office of Sponsored Programs. Thank you.